we're going to do one last review, and this one is going to be over subtraction. And sometimes people get really confused when they get the rules for adding and subtracting integers, but kind of a handy thing to keep in mind is that really subtracting and adding kind of end up being the same thing. And in order to demonstrate that, I need to make sure that you guys remember, as I'm sure you do, back from when you were in grade school, sometimes you guys would use a number line to represent addition. So I'm obviously using very small examples, but 2 plus 3. So you would start right here at the 2. Then you would hop to the right, 1, 2, 3, so that you end up at a positive 5. Thus, 2 plus 3 is positive 5. We used a chip model in our previous lesson, and you can see that if you take a positive 2 and then you add 3 positive chips to it, you get the same thing as that positive 5, just in case there was any doubt as to whether or not I was using the number line correctly. So, of course, all of you in the audience could do this one very easily on your papers. So we're starting out at a positive 4. Then, because we're adding a positive 5, we're hopping to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places so that we end up right here at a positive 9. You guys also used a number line for subtraction when you were in grade school. So here we're starting off with a positive 5, and instead of going to the right like we would if this were a 5 plus 3, instead we're going to take our number line over to the left because we're subtracting 3. So you'd hop 1, 2, 3 places to the left from the 5. So 5 minus 3 is 2. Of course, you guys know that. You did that when you were in grade school also. But notice that's the same answer that you get if you do 5 plus a negative 3. So before we did 5 minus 3. Now we've done 5 plus a negative 3. If I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positives, and if I had 1, 2, 3 negatives, we recall from the previous video that these two would cancel, these two would cancel, and these two would cancel, leaving you with simply a positive 2 left over. So it gives you the same answer as if you were at a 5 and then you go to the left 3. So my point here is that adding a negative 3 or subtracting a positive 3, subtraction and a negative really means the same thing. So you don't have to get confused memorizing two different sets of rules because it really means the same thing. So here, for example, if we do 8 minus 6, you could think of it as 8, take away 6, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which takes you to a positive 2. Or you could think of it as a positive 8 and add to it a negative 6. So these 3 positives would cancel out these 3 negatives. These 3 positives would cancel out these 3 negatives. And you would be left with this positive 2 left over. So either way, whether I'm subtracting or I'm adding a negative, I get exactly the same answer. So keep that in mind while we're looking at this example. Negative 3 minus 6. Now, a lot of people will commonly say that the answer is 0, and that is not correct. Okay, because we're starting right here at a negative 3. Minus 3 means you're actually going to go to the left. Now, if your answer of 0 were correct, you would be saying you're starting off here at negative 3 and going in the positive direction. Of course, that doesn't make sense because you're going minus 3. So if we started at a negative 3, we hop over to the left, 1, 2, 3 places. Negative 3 minus 3 is a negative 6. So you guys try this example really quickly on your own paper. Pause the video if you need to for just a second. Try it out. And when you come back, I will be working it for you. So start off here at negative 2. Minus 7 means that you're going to go 7 in the negative direction. So from this 2, you're going to hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 places to the left. That's exactly the same answer that you get if you have 2 negatives. Then you put it together with another 7 negatives. See? If we do negative 2 plus a negative 7, that still gives us the same answer of a negative 9. So whether you do a minus or add a negative, It really means the same thing. Now, how does that help us with something like this? Because all these other ones we've had minus 3, minus 7. Okay, now we've got minus a negative. So it's not just one subtraction or one negative anymore like we had in these cases. Now we've got 2. There are a couple different ways that you can think about it. First of all, you might want to think about, remember subtraction means to take away. So technically what you're doing is you're taking away a negative. Well, what happens when you take away a negative? You really turn it into a positive. So this really means 6 plus 2. When you do 6 minus a negative 2, it really means the same thing as 6 plus 2. Again, because when you take away a negative, that's really turning it into a positive. Another way that I always like to explain it is by watching a little Michael Jackson for just a second. So, of course, his famous dance move that he's the most famous for is his moonwalk. For those of us at home that don't know what the moonwalk is, let's take a look at that for just 1 second. And now they're getting ready to do it in a little bit of slow motion. So right now, the video is playing forward, but Michael Jackson is going in a negative direction because the moonwalk means you're going backwards. So when I'm playing the video forward, he's going in a negative direction. Well, what would happen if I were to take this video of him going in the negative direction and I were to play it in reverse? Well, let's find out. Okay, so one more time. We're playing the video forward. He is going in a negative direction. Again, let's watch it in slow motion. So again, the video is still playing forward in a positive direction. He is going in a negative direction when I do that. So now I'm going to take this video and I'm going to play it backwards, which means instead of playing the video in a forward direction, I'm going to erase this little forward arrow. Instead, I'm going to play the video in reverse. So it's a video of him going backwards in a negative direction, but I'm going to play the video in reverse. So technically, I'm going in the reverse I'm going in a negative direction backwards. So let's see what happens when I do that. So I'm going to take this and drag it very slowly. And it's kind of hard, actually, let me make this a little bit bigger, full screen here. It'll be easier to see it. So you guys can see it now. It looks like he's walking in a forward direction instead of walking backwards like he was. Let's see that one more time. So I'm going to drag it back. Okay, so before he's going backwards, so I'm going to play him going backwards. So 2 negatives actually mean that now he's going to be walking forward. So that's another reason to explain why when you subtract a negative, it really turns it into a positive. So 6 minus negative 2 really means the same thing as 6 plus 2. And of course, 6 plus 2 is 8. Try one just like that now. If you want to, you can pause the video, take just a second to try to figure it out. I'm going to go ahead and work it. So 5 minus negative 4 is really the same thing as 5 plus 4. When you take away a negative, that really makes it a positive. When Michael Jackson goes backwards and you play it backwards, so 2 backwards here, that cancels out to go forward. So 5 plus 4 is 9. Let's try one more. So you guys try this one at home. There's a little bit of a twist on it though. Now this negative 6 still stays put. A really common misconception that people have, they sit there and they go, okay, this is minus a negative 4, so I know that's going to become a plus 4, but then they change the 6 also. Okay, there aren't 2 negatives in front of that 6. There's only 1. So that negative is still going to stay a negative. So I'm going to rewrite this. Negative 6 minus a negative 4 is now negative 6 plus 4. According to our integer rules, if they're the same sign, we would just add them together. They're a different sign though, so we're going to subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Take the sign of the higher absolute value. If you were to do this, the positive 4 would cancel out 4 of those negatives and leave you with a negative 2. Go ahead and pause the movie and take a moment to try to work these out on your own. Then restart the video when you're ready to check them yourself. I'm going to use the number line and the integer rules as I work these for you. So first of all, negative 5 minus 3. So if I start here at negative 5, minus 3 means I'm going to go in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3. Because remember, subtraction and negative really means the same thing. So this is going to be a negative 8. Number 2, 5 minus 12. So I'm starting over here at a positive 5. Then I'm going back 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's going to leave me at a negative 7. In both of these cases, this is the same answer you would have gotten using a chip model if I had used, in this case, a negative 5 and then combined it with a negative 3. Negative 5 plus a negative 3 does give me a negative 8. Oh, that equal sign kind of looks like, let me get rid of that equal sign. Here, if I have a positive 5, so positive 5, and then this is really a negative 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this positive 5 and 5 of these negatives would cancel each other out, leaving you with 6 left over, and they are 6 negatives. So, whoops, it would help if your math teacher could count, wouldn't it? Whoops. That would actually leave 7 negatives left over. So either way, whether you use a chip model or the number line, you should get the same answer. For number 3, we're going to rewrite this problem. When you subtract that negative 8, what you're technically doing is adding an 8 because you're taking away that negative. So a negative 7 put together with a positive 8 means you'll have a positive 1 left over by the time that 7 cancels that 8. Then we're going to rewrite this one. 4 minus a negative 5 is the same thing as 4 plus 5, which gives you a positive 9.